Okay, so hopefully now you can hear me a little bit better. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I am changing offices. I'm mid-office change, so it's like we are all mixed up over here on our side, but thank you so much for joining us here on stream on the Shuffle Squad. We're battling against Team Lethal Strike here on the Shuffle Squad. We've got Ian, Cyrus, and Josh competing against Sunny, TCG. We've got VGH, and we also have On Guard over on the opposing team. And it looks like Ian's playing the classic Regidrago V-Star in this matchup here against Miraidon. Now, Miraidon obviously having a few new tricks since Ian has played up against it as a Regidrago V-Star player, but still seems to be a 50-50 matchup most of the time. But if you want to help out and you want to help donate to a good cause, we are donating anything on our end that goes to Americares for the hurricane relief. So that's what we're playing for this evening. We are trying to go in and let's see. I'm just checking in on some of my Discord messages. We got a couple of messages happening over here. Lots of things going on tonight. It's a wonderful Saturday night, and I want to thank everybody so much for joining us in. We're seeing if Ian can actually take down this matchup with the awful start. Now, these are going to be best of one matches, and it looks like Miraidon is going to have the high ground here, being able to take out this Pheasantipity. Loading up all of the energies, it seems like Miraidon is going to be able to Photon Blast this Pheasantipity out of here super easily, and then Ian is only reliant on this Radiant Charizard. So Ian in definitely a bad spot here on our end. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create this little text box here so we can see what the score is on both sides. So let's see here. We're going to go in and queue this up. Now we're doing this on the fly here because it's also been a busy week. Hopefully it's been a wonderful week for you watching at home, but right now the the TSS side of things, we have been slammed with all kinds of things here. So we're trying to make it work, and we are trying to make everything happen for you all at the same time. I'm gonna reduce this down so everyone can see what's going on, and I'll put this up at the top. We're gonna change some spacing for you too. That way it looks nice and easy. So let's see, properties here. We're gonna move this over just a little bit so they're kind of underneath each other. So that looks nicer. And that way you can kind of see the score here. So we are playing our first game, and as of right now, we don't see much else happening. Ian was able to establish a board with the Teal Mask Ogre Pawn over here, and then we do have the Regidrago V down on the bottom, and we were able to energy switch and take at least a 2 prize turn. So with a Radiant Charizard being able to capitalize on only having 3 energy this time around, it's pretty good here. And then also Ian having a single prize attacker. If it is put onto the bench, it does reset the Radiant Charizard to be able to swing for another 250 damage, which can actually just deteriorate Sunny's board for right now. But Sunny come down with a Forest Seal Stone. We do see Forest Seal Stone get flipped immediately, so Sunny's going to be able to go in and capitalize. It looks like most likely what we'll see here is a boss's orders to try to take out this Regidrago V so it doesn't evolve and start to just annihilate Sunny's board. So we do see the electric generator coming down. A lot of cards in Sunny's hands, so we have to assume at least one of those cards is going to be a boss's orders or a gust. I'm not sure if we've seen the Prime Catcher right now, just due to the technical difficulties. I was not able to see if Prime Catcher was discarded early on in the game, but it does look like everything is good. All right, so here comes the Raikou. Raikou coming up. We do see the boss's orders going for the Regidrago V, and we are ready to go. So just so we are aware, we are facing 1v1 in a best of one match, and we're going to go down. Every player on each team is going to play every other player on the opposing team, just so you know what the format is going to be. And at the end of all of our matches, we are going to have 9 matches here on this stream. We will have somebody that's victorious. Now, what's going to happen too is whoever the winning team is will be donated the donation amount, and we're all going to put it towards Americares. So it's more than likely just bragging rights for everybody, because one team beat the other, because everything all gets donated to Americares to help out with hurricane relief. So if you do want to help out and you are watching, make sure that you hit that exclamation point donate in the chat on YouTube, and you can participate in the donation. If you're not able to find that, or if it doesn't come up for some reason, I will go ahead and just leave it into our YouTube chat here. That way you can find that and hop right over into that site, so you can leave yourself or you can be part of the donation here for the Shuffle Squad into Americares. All right, so we see damage counters be placed. Now we're reducing some things. I think that Ian was just placing damage counters on the Zapdos just because, but we do want to be able to hit at least 200. First time joining the stream, thank you so much for joining in here. We're happy to have you. But we're doing a charity match. It's a team versus team. Ian Rob is our first player versus Sunny over on Team Lethal Strike. That's our first match that we're going to start out with. So we do see Ian and Sunny both on 2 prizes and a prime catcher come up with a loaded Miraidon, just taking out that Regidrago V, being able to swing that first game over into Team Lethal Strike. So we're going to go ahead and just change this out here. We're going to change this to 1 and so we are currently 0-1 here on the Shuffle Squad side. So we're going to see some things get changed. We're going to go ahead and see who is next. So bear with me here. It looks like this is going to be what our team is playing, and yes, I know that it's a little skewed, but we're just trying to make things work for Discord right now. But Cyrus is going to be playing these 3 decks that you can see up here. Ian, obviously starting with Regidrago. There's Palkia, Dusknoir, and Miraidon for Ian. Cyrus will be playing Pidgeot Control. We do have Banette Dusknoir and also Snorlax Stall. And Josh will be finishing up the lineup here for Shuffle Squad with Raging Bolt, Charizard Pidgeot, and Terapagos Dusknoir. So that's what we're looking at right now. So just so you can see how the matches are going to go, that first match that we had here was Sunny versus Ian. Now we do have VGH playing versus Cyrus next. That's going to be our next matchup here, and Cyrus is going to be over on the next game. So let's see what Cyrus is doing, and we can take a look at that match. All right, give me just a second and we can sort this thing out. And we're just bearing with everybody here. We're getting things lined up. Hopefully you're having a good time at home. Hopefully you're enjoying the stream. We do have our second match going on right now. We're getting it queued up and ready to go. That way, everybody can enjoy what's going to happen. Cyrus is just finalizing her list, making sure that everything is correct. We did have to pre-submit lists for this event, so that way everything is up to par. Nobody's cheating, nobody's adding in extra cards. So we're playing it the right way, trying to catch up on the new archetypes and new cards after so many years. You're old school. I too am old school, so thank you so much for joining us here. I am also old school, and I love to play the old formats, like the Wizards of the Coast formats. Those are some of my favorites. I did love doing that. So we are going to actually just head over into the gameplay here. That way we can get it set up. All right, let's see here. We're going to watch this stream. Let me flip that over here. And then we're just waiting for Cyrus to get queued up. Cyrus will be playing. Let's take a look at it. Cyrus is going to be playing VGH, playing Venomoth and Frostlass, which is a personal favorite of mine into this format, where we're seeing some item lock happening. Cyrus obviously playing Pidgeot Control. So as soon as we get that queued up, we'll be able to see Cyrus start to play that deck. Now, Pidgeot Control does have a lot of cool things inside of it. There's a lot of different elements where you can control how the deck is going to be working. You can control maybe putting something in the active, trapping it there, or if you're starting to give away prizes to your opponent, there is a way to flip the script in a sense and just start to loop a big attacker over and over again that can't be knocked out. There's also some walling effects on Pokemon, so I know that if you're playing against a single prize deck that doesn't have a rule box, no EXs, things like that, I know Cyrus is going to be playing things like Mimikyu and Cornerstone Ogerpon, which is going to block some of the attacks going in. So looks like we're queuing up a challenge now, so we're going to take a look at that and see what we've got going on there. So we're waiting for the challenge to happen. Let's see what Cyrus has up her sleeve here in this Pidgeot Control matchup versus VGH. So we're enjoying the format here. Now there's tons of decks that are viable, tons of really good decks. New Pidgeot is definitely scary. It's a deck that you don't really see too many players pilot. So it's a deck that I'm very interested to see too. I kind of want to see what's going to be happening over on this side here. But we do have things like Regidrago V-Star that we saw. Miraidon's still a deck. Lugia is a deck. Charizard's a deck. All of these decks are viable. So we are going to be able to watch the action happen here. So just taking a look, looks like VGH is going to go ahead and do, now Video Game House is what VGH stands for, but looks like Tails is what's called off the coin flip. Cyrus does win that coin flip, gets to choose whether she wants to go first or second here in the second match out of 9, and hopefully we'll see the magical turn 1. What we want to see is we want to see at least a Pidgeot come out of here, so Cyrus can throw the Mawile here. Now Mawile does have Tempting Trap as the attack. Tempting Trap will allow her to trap something into the active without being able to retreat. Now it looks like there was a deck change, which is totally fine here. So the deck change that we're seeing right now is either Regidrago V-Star or it could be Raging Bolt, both of which play the Teal Mask Ogerpon. So this is kind of funny, kind of interesting. I'm definitely interested to see how the rest of this deck plays out. Cyrus right now debating whether or not she wants to go for maybe an early Rotom or just plant the Pidgey and go in here to see if she is able to capitalize and draw some more cards. All right, so let's see what else we've got here. All right, so we do have the Rotom instant charging into 3 new cards. So the Sandshrew is going to be pretty good in this matchup, depending on what we see come out of this Nest Ball on the other side. We do see Nest Ball kind of taking its time to search for something. Having the Mimikyu down could be scary if this is Raging Bolt. Raging Bolt not necessarily having a way of switching too many times. Generally, there's usually 1 to 2 switch cards. Okay, and this one is a different matchup, so I do want to go ahead and just take a peek here, because I know that was stated, you know, what decks are being played. I'm going in just to take a look at something on our end. I want to see what those matches are. So VGH does have, okay, so this could be Flapple EX. So I was a little concern beforehand. But yeah, Flapple EX is exactly what we're seeing here. And Mimikyu could be detrimental in this matchup to getting just the win. I think Cyrus might be able to capitalize on looping Mimikyu over and over again. That's something that this deck does. And being able to force a retreat on VGH's Pokemon could mean the win for Cyrus this round. So let's see exactly what's going on here. It looks like Cyrus opting to go in for a Nest Ball and a Forest Seal Stone just to see if there is a Pidgeot that can come into play. Pidgeot could be very, very good here. Pidgeot going in hopefully after this. I think Tempting Trap could definitely be the wave for sure, just to prevent a Flapple EX coming into play. But there's the Mimikyu block. So now this Pokemon cannot attack. So Teal Mask is not going to be able to attack through the Safeguard ability on Mimikyu. So VGH is going to have to retreat into potentially a Flapple. Just a plain old Flapple, the baby Flapple, if you will. And no EX will be able to attack through this Mimikyu. Now there is a potential VGH can find some sort of Gust card, Gust around the Mimikyu, and start to take a little bit more prizing. So I know that as of right now, the Hydrapple, that's what we're going to see here. The Hydrapple is what starts to become scarier as more grass energy hits the field. So we do see a Thornton. That's kind of funny too. Thornton could be really cute here. We do have Rare Candy in hand, so there is a potential to add Forest Seal Stone onto one of the V Pokemon and search for some sort of extra card later on in the game. But why would we need to do that when we have Pidgeot EX available right now? So we do have Quick Search. We do have the Bravery Charm, just in case we do get hit here. And I think that Cyrus can just opt to build her hand up a little bit more and keep on trucking with these turns. Now, there is an A-Spec in every list, so there is potential to put a Genesect with the tool card on it onto the field. That way the A-Spec cannot be used. So that's something we might be able to see. But Cyrus looking like she's eyeing up a secondary Mimikyu just to kind of loop these things over and over again too. Using these as ways to find another Pokemon. Now Chi-Yu could be a very, very funny Pokemon just to go in and start to do a penny loop. Now we do see Mimikyu getting rid of the Lumineon here with Thornton, and Instant Charge just drawing a couple more cards. So this is all very good here. Cyrus definitely planting the seed to win this game. It is going to be a long game just because VGH is going to have to find outs to all of these Pokemon here. So I think the next move for Cyrus is to find a Fire Energy and start to mill some of the deck over on the opposing side for VGH. That's going to be the game plan here. So looks like a pass over to Cyrus. Cyrus is going to attempt to find the next piece that she needs to start this loop, and that's exactly what Cyrus is doing right now. We're looking through the deck. Could opt for a Penny this turn or a Fire Energy. Looking like she's just going with the Misfortune Sisters just to remove some of the items from the deck. Does get the double Nest Ball. Temple of Sinnoh is a little annoying here, but we don't really care as much. Again, if Cyrus is able to draw into something like a Penny, then all we need is that Fire Energy out of Cyrus's list in order to find that. All right, we're seeing a professor's research, and just knowing VGH is going to have to go in and attempt to find something else, like a basic Pokemon to attack through this Mimikyu eventually. That's really where I think their head is at this moment in time. How are we getting around these Mimikyus? There's two on the field. Again, potential to loop them with things like Night Stretcher, or we can even put them back into the deck with a Super Rod and then loop that Super Rod with Regieleki. There's so much going on here with the Pidgeot control deck. We do want to see where Cyrus is going to go next. There's a Temple of Sinnoh just to prevent all special energies from working here. They do count as colorless energies, but nevertheless, all their special effects are negated by that Temple of Sinnoh. Now, Cyrus does have Lost Vacuum, so if she does want to use something like this, say this Mist Energy or the Double Turbo Energy, Cyrus can Lost Vacuum something in her hand away, and that will prevent that Temple of Sinnoh from ever coming back into play, sending it straight to the Lost Zone. All right, looking like VGH is going back into their deck with another Nest Ball, trying to find something. It looks like it's just going with a fail. Could just be a thinning attempt over on their side, just to see where they're going to go next, potentially doing an Iono play just to put these cards from their hand back in, see 6 more cards. Nobody has taken a prize as of yet, but it looks like VGH is attempting to just go in and load up that Flapple EX. All right, Pidgeot over on Cyrus's side here. We're seeing that go in, and we can see a Penny come down. So Penny Loop is real, and I think that just taking out that Rotom in case of a Gust could be pretty good here. And then again, Pidgeot's still able to load up the hand. So we're seeing Pidgeot happen, and we're just taking it from VGH's side. We're just taking a look. Taking a look to see what's going on here. And again, if you want to donate, make sure that you are using the !donate !donate link in the chat, and that is going to allow you to find the link in our YouTube chat. That way you can go onto the website and you can donate to help out with the hurricane relief. And that's exactly why we're doing this charity match today versus Team Lethal Strike, is we are trying to raise some money for hurricane relief out of Florida. Now it looks like there is a boss's orders onto the Pidgeot EX, and we're going to see if this Flapple has enough, and it looks like there is just a concede over on VGH's side. That leaves Cyrus with the win here, so Cyrus is going to be able to take that win, and we're going to mark that as 1 win for us. So we'll pop that in here. So it is tied up. That's exactly how it's looking right now. So we got 1v1, and we'll be able to take it to the 3rd match. So give me just a second. We're going to hop over. I need to take a drink, but we'll be right back for more action. All right, everyone, and we're back here on the Shuffle Squad. We are going to be going into Josh's match. Now, Josh is going to be battling it out, and we're going to put up the image here in just a second. Josh is going to be battling On Guard. So let's see here. We're going to hop over into Josh as soon as I get this open here. We're gonna watch the stream and take a look and see. Looks like Raging Bolt is what Josh is going to be playing to start off this game. Now, if we want to take a look at what the matchups are, I did get a better image for everyone, so we can take a look at what some of these matchups are. We're gonna find this file here. And this is what we're seeing. So this is what we're looking at on guard. On guard playing Dragapult, Dusknoir, Palkia, Noctowl, and it looks like Iron Valiant, Terapagos. So Josh is obviously playing the Raging Bolt side of things. So we'll see exactly what's happening there. See what we can do. All right, looks like they are playing the Dragapult matchup right now. So Dragapult is going to be what Josh is playing against. This is a semi-difficult matchup for Dragapult. Dragapult doesn't have a great time against Raging Bolt most cases. Josh is opting to put double switch card in here, so that could be pretty good too. Looks like On Guard starting things off, going first here, which is really good for Raging Bolt deck. Raging Bolt does love to go second, so having Pokestop in hand could make or break how Josh's first turn is going to go here. So we're taking a look to see Double Dreepy hit the field. Double Dreepy is pretty good at this point in time. I'm just going to fix this up a little bit, even it out. It is 1v1, so let's see if Josh can really swing this one home with the next turn. So looks like On Guard not necessarily having the best time over there. No Rotom hitting the field, so no additional draw engine over on their side either. So it looks like there are a few different ways that Josh can opt to start this turn here. There's Pokestop, we do have a Teal Dance available, and we also have a Trekking Shoes. Now, there should be the Pokestop used first here, and it looks like that does help out Josh just a little bit. Josh is able to go in and use Earthen Vessel to thin out some energies from the deck. That way they're able to draw a few more cards and also get a Lightning Energy in for Professor Sada's Vitality. Now this is very good here. So Josh seeing Radiant Greninja just raw off the top coming into play, getting rid of this grass energy. That way they can go ahead and draw 2 more cards. Now these Trekking Shoes are going to be very important here. Let's see, we don't need that card. We definitely need to see a Pokemon. Pokestop is not a Pokemon, unbeknownst to anybody else. So Slitherwing, I don't think they're going to be able to do too much with Slitherwing here, so opting to go for that. Now the Professor Sada is good if there was an ancient Pokemon in play. However, Josh does not have one in play yet. Now Josh thinking, are we going to opt for the Night Stretcher to put an ancient Pokemon into play just so he can use this Sada here? It doesn't seem like the best move on Josh's side, because Josh will have to go ahead and waste the Sada on a Pokemon that they don't exactly need. However, it is a way to draw some more cards just to get to your end game. So because it does have 140 HP, I think Josh is going to opt to go for that. And you can also retreat with Switch Card in hand for free. So that's something that we have to pay attention to here as well. So is going to go for the Sada, going to put the grass energy potentially, thinking about the grass, and that's exactly what we're going for. Now we're seeing the Raging Bolt come into play. So we could go for a Burst Roar angle. However, there are a ton of resources in this hand. Now, leaving the Teal Mask Ogerpon into the active spot too also could yield something a little bit nicer for Josh, because there is no way that On Guard has the ability to hit over 200 damage on the first turn of the game, especially if they're swinging with a Crystal Candy play into this first turn. That could be pretty good. Josh thinking, do I want to use Stomp Off here? Stomp Off could be pretty good. I know Josh was manually adding on the fighting energy, so Josh does have to make a decision here pretty quickly to see exactly what the next move is. So We're going to see if there's going to be a manually retreat or just use the switch card. Now, switch card is a good resource in this deck. Switch card is something that you don't want to use too many of, and obviously no burst roar is potentially the play. So I think just going for the stomp off, getting rid of fire energy, which is really good here, because that way On Guard can't manually load up this Dreepy in the back. Just milling resources off the top of a Dragapult deck, honestly, probably the best move that we're going to see here. All right, so we do see the Dracloak come into play. So Dracloak is going to be able to go in and look at the top 2 cards with the Recon Directive ability, put one of them on the bottom of the deck, and then the other one goes to hand. So a little bit of a way of thinning the deck, or at least putting your resources where they need to be, getting those dead cards out of your top deck and putting them at the bottom of the deck. So that's something that we're going to see here. I've got my buddy Gengar next to me. Gengar's vibing. Hopefully you're vibing too. Now, if you do want to help out with the cause and help donate to a good charity, we are going to be donating through Americares tonight for this team versus team charity match. You can find the link either in our YouTube live chat, or you can hit !donate in the chat, and that link should pop up here if Nightbot wants to play nice with us this evening. So I'm actually going to log back in just so I can see if Nightbot is going to be working for us today. We're going to use that, and we're going to get this here. We'll get that going. All right, perfect. That should work now. So if you want to go ahead and hit !donate in there, that link should come right up here for you. I'm going to do it in our chat now, just to see if it'll work. And it probably won't work on my side because I'm running the Shuffle Squad YouTube today. All right, we do see not use an alias command as an alias. Aha, I found it. I figured it out. All right, so we do see the Dragapult come into play and the Rotom with the Forest Seal Stone. Let's see here. Top commands, custom commands. Let's do this on the fly, everybody. All right. Perfect, perfect, perfect. We're getting there. All right. Let's see what we're coming up against over on the other side here now that we've missed a few steps for fixing the donation link. That's what's more important here than Pokemon donating those in need. We do want to make sure that everybody's taken care of, especially after that hurricane ripped through the western coast of Florida here. We do see Dragapult coming in, taking the knockout and starting to spread some damage counters. That could really put Josh on the back foot. Obviously, having one extra damage counter, not the worst thing in the world, could potentially have put the other damage counter onto the Radiant Greninja, and taking a double shot at it with Phantom Dive could have given the knockout. Now, it looks like Josh is going to promote Teal Mask Ogerpon, which could get healed with switch cards. So that's another reason why maybe the damage counter should have gone over on Radiant Greninja. Josh not drawing too much here, but I think that holding an energy in hand, potentially, just to get back so we can see Asada, would probably be the wave here, as far as I'm concerned. So let's see, we do see a Teal Dance come in to draw an extra card, and then the Pokestop continues to work here. Now, Josh thinking, do I want to go for the Radiant Greninja play, where I'm going to discard this energy, then I get a little bit deeper into this deck, but now I'm down this lightning energy to attach after Sada to try to swing into the Dragapult. Choices are tough, and there we go. We do see Sada hit the discard pile here. Now, I think Josh eyeing up the Earthen Vessel that was drawn off of this, having double Raging Bolt in play, also very good here. It looks like 2 charms. We do see Josh go with a Teal Mask Ogerpon, which I'm not exactly sure is the right play here. I know that we can Earthen Vessel away the Squawkabilly and start to get some more energy into play. There's the fighting energy too. So we do need to find a Professor Sada Vitality here, some way, shape, or form. But having the extra energy, having the split of energy necessary to get Raging Bolt live is going to allow us to conceal cards here. That way we can see more cards in our deck. And that's exactly what Raging Bolt loves to do. All right, let's see what they're doing over here. Looks like Josh confirming the concealed cards, drawing a couple extra cards here too. All right, still no Professor Sada's Vitality, but we can use Switch Cart to prevent a knockout. And I think Josh just going in for a secondary Raging Bolt could be the wave here, but Josh is not doing that. However, Energy Retrieval can get us back this can get us back these energies here, so at least we're able to find something. If there is an Iono play, we do know that Dragapults tend to play 4 Ionos, or even 3. So all right, there's an Ultra Ball. That's not very helpful now, but I think we definitely have to use the Switch Cart. I think that the next step could potentially be to use a Boss's Orders to just try to build our play. I think that having the consistent Gust here is good. Pokemon Catcher being eyed up just as a potential Gust on the Rotom, just to prevent that switch. And it looks like a Heads. It's a good switch here. I think Heads was very detrimental. Yes, I think using the Switch Cart also is another place. Yeah, the brutal Heads. Just going in to this Radiant Greninja just to prevent the 2-prize knockout here. However, there will be enough prizes taken that Josh is going to be on the back foot here. Crispin, not helpful in Josh's situation, but very helpful over on OnGuard's situation, where now you're able to load an energy onto Rotom, switch out of the active spot, and then have an energy to start to load up more Pokemon on the bench. So OnGuard just looking at this, thinking, how can I get my next Dragapult out onto the field? But my first one's not touched. There is a potential that Josh is just loading up, so Josh can go in with Raging Bolt and take a big one-hit knockout on that Dragapult, cripple the board state, and start to go from there. Now, getting the Pokestop out of here isn't the biggest deal. I think that just the idea behind putting down that counter stadium is to get Pokestop out of there. That way the Raging Bolt cannot draw any further. But Josh, having 2 other Pokestops in hand, is going to be able to put the kibosh on that. How long has it been on? Not too long. We are currently on the 3rd match out of 9. So we are still playing 6 more matches after this. And currently the score, you can see over on the left-hand side on the screen here, we are 1 versus 1 right now. So it's going to be whoever has the most points at the end of this 9 is going to be who takes home the glory of being the Americares charity match champion team. And Josh, we see putting down the Pokestop here. Putting down Pokestop is going to yield a little bit better of a draw, but I think Josh having Pokegear 3.0 in hand is very good. Not having Radiant Greninja anymore kind of hurts a little bit. I think that's the next thing that Josh wants to do is get another Raging Bolt into play, and then potentially Professor Sada too. So Josh, knowing that Dragapult doesn't play too many counter stadiums, could potentially discard a Pokestop off of this Ultra Ball, and then getting rid of the Gust because your threat is in the active spot now, also very good. So Josh just thinning the deck here, knowing that there's only 2 Professor Sada in the deck, hoping, and the Iono. That is not what you want to see, ladies and gentlemen. You do not want to see that Iono here, but we do have enough energy to swing a one-hit KO. Now, a lot of resources hitting that discard pile here too. Josh can manually attach and swing for 300 and, let's see, 300 and math. ladies and gentlemen. 5 times 7 is 350. That's what I thought. I was second guessing myself. 350 damage here onto this Dragapult EX, taking a one-shot on it. Now, we have to also pray that there's no other disruption coming into play, because Josh does need to find a Professor Sada's Vitality next turn. I think that Josh is eyeing it up, could potentially go in and prevent a knockout here by going Switch Cart and then Prime Catcher. Switch Cart Prime Catcher is going to allow Josh to get the Rotom at least, then discarding 3 energy instead of all 5. There we go. We see Josh just going for the safer play, taking that big knockout on the Dragapult, saying you don't have it like that. You still need a Psychic Energy and you need a Dragapult. Are you going to be able to find it after you've wasted your 4 Seal Stone here on Guard side? On Guard bringing up the Dracloak very hastily, making us think that they definitely have it here. Putting down the Duskull over on their side and the Pheasantipity to draw out of this knockout turn prior on Josh's side. So we're seeing that having a lot of resources is pretty good here. So the Iono, Josh was expecting the Iono play beforehand, therefore not using all the resources. Now this is very good. This is a great hand to get Iono'd into. Josh does have everything that he needs for a return knockout on at least something, as long as he can draw a way of getting one of the fighting or lightning energies out of the discard pile. Having the Sada to draw 3 plant energy on both your Raging Bolt here is going to be very good for Josh. Just lining up their next knockout on the other side. We see On Guard thinking, trying to go into the deck. Recon Directive is going to draw 1 extra card here. You know, the Iono to the 4. We got Fez for flipping the script into 3 more cards, so we're at 7, and now we get the 8th card, and now a 9th card because we have a double Recon Directive. This is so good here on Josh's side. We're able to see how Josh is just hoping that he can draw into 1 more card to finish out this turn here. All right, here we go. There's the Pokestop being used on the Dragapult side. Not something you see every day, but the Night Stretcher is going to get 1 extra piece. Now, if there is a Dragapult in the hand, which I think that there is, we do see the basic energy coming out of the discard pile. On Guard side, there's the Dragapult drop down, and manually loading up these Dragapult is probably the biggest flex that you'll see over on Guard's side. Not even having to use the Crystal, did not have to use the Crispin on a Dragapult to load it up in 1 shot. So very exciting game on both sides. All right, so we do see the damage being placed. Josh having this Bravery Charm on 2 different Pokemon to prevent knockouts. Also very good here. We do know that most of the cards in Josh's deck do not need to be used here. Josh contemplating, am I going to be able to get 5 energy on the board this turn? Because Josh does have to use energy retrieval, that's kind of where it puts Josh in a hard spot. So here, let's see, Nest Ball can go ahead and get a second Pokemon on the field. Now, Pheasantipity is probably the best call here. Josh is looking at his resources. Can he get there? He definitely can get there with double energy retrieval in the deck. So that's something Josh does want to draw into. Taking a swing on this second Dragapult EX for a knockout can really put Josh in the best spot. We do have to make sure that we're drawing. So we do get at least the Night Stretcher. Now, Night Stretcher will allow Josh to put a Raging Bolt back onto the field. Josh will have to draw into 1, if not both, of these energy retrievals to get back into this game here. All right, we see 2 energy hit the field. We know that we can potentially draw into the fighting basic, so I do think that putting lightning on both of the Raging Bolt is probably the correct play. You can see that happen here. So lightning could be the best way to go, getting the energy retrieval. So we have got 2 out of 5 energy already into the play. And look at that, what a top deck. Holy moly, Josh is sailing right now. So we've got the energy retrieval to get the fighting energy that we need to make this knockout count. We have at least a way of getting the fighting out of the deck also. So we could potentially just go in and Earthen Vessel this nest ball away. I want to see if Josh sees that play. We are just getting the raw fighting energy out of the discard pile here. Going to Teal Dance, make sure that that is all set. So we're going to get probably 2 more of these grass energy out of the discard pile, so we can Teal Dance 2 more times. Josh is very close to also decking out, so Josh does have to be cautious of that. And then thinking about this, we have to be very, very careful that we can Pale Pad the things that we need in for that final knockout. Now, Josh going in, making sure that fighting energy is something that's going to stay into play, and then using the Pale Pad is probably the next play after Josh uses this Earthen Vessel, just to thin the deck. No energy in there, which means that out of the 4 prizes, Josh does have to draw this fighting energy to keep him into this game, to be able to swing a knockout next turn. So putting probably 2 Professor Sadas back into the deck is the best choice, and that's exactly what Josh is doing here. And Josh thinking, which am I going to put this Bravery Charm on? And again, On Guard still has access to Crystal. Crystal has not been used as of yet. So there is Sparkling Crystal still available. Josh is trying to not draw too many of his resources yet. And then just going for the one-shot knockout, potentially drawing the energy that he needs here. And there is Prime Catcher Switch Cart available. That could get us the knockout. Josh will only need to get a knockout. Okay, that is 5. Josh does have to just go live with the 5. Only needs a Gust on either Rotom or Pheasantipity, and can win the game with a Professor Sada. Now, we do get at least 1 more energy off of here, but it's not the energy that we necessarily need. Josh does not have access to any more superior energy retrievals, anything like that, any energy recovery out of the discard pile, except for Professor Sada's Vitality. So if there is a knockout on the active Raging Bolt, or if we see another Dragapult and a Gust here, which we are seeing right now, this could be really bad for Josh. Now, here comes Luminion to do Luminous Sign and search for a supporter inside the deck. Let's see if Arven is the choice here. So Arven can yield us a Sparkling Crystal if there's an energy card in hand, or a Gust. So there is Boss's Order. That's saying that there's a potential of Sparkling Crystal already in the hand. And here comes this Dusknoir pop. Dusknoir is going to get us there. And now we don't even need Sparkling Crystal. We can swing for 70, and this is going to be the knockout here on the Teal Mask Ogerpon. Taking that knockout. Very unfortunate first half of the game for Josh. Obviously, we see that trickle down into the rest of this game. So Josh, unfortunately, taking a loss here. So we are going to hop over and just chat about that a little bit. Raging Bolt definitely favored for the most part into that Dragapult matchup, as we saw Josh not able to capitalize, but we did see some amazing gameplay over on Guard side for Team Lethal Strike. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break here. I'm going to grab a couple more drinks. That way I can enjoy the rest of this charity match just like you can, and we'll catch you at the next game. We'll be right back. All right, folks, we are back here on the Shuffle Squad. We're going to be covering the next matchup here. It looks like we have Sunny versus our own Josh Frink. Sunny over on Team Lethal Strike, and Josh has been just crapped on the last matchup here, playing Raging Bolt into Dragapult. On guard was playing Dragapult. So we're going to be watching Josh in just a second here. So let's hop into this game and see. Josh is going to be playing Charizard EX. And if you want to take a look here, looks like Sunny did already play Miraidon, did already beat Ian. So it could be a Charizard mirror. We could see Terapagos Dusknoir here. So that's what we're waiting for right now. Okay, we are going to update this. Currently, it is 1v2 right now. Looks like we're just loaded up, waiting for this match to begin here. We'll see exactly if Josh can swing out what he considers the best deck in format, Charizard EX, to come out swinging. We'll see if this matchup can be won over on Josh's end. All right, and we're getting into a chat. Looks like we're finally seeing what deck Sunny is going to be playing over on Team Lethal Strike. Josh is able to call the coin flip. Hopefully it works out a little bit better for him here. And tails, it never fails. Looks like Josh is going to pick the very quintessential first or second with Charizard. So we're going to see exactly which way Josh wants to go. Let's see if this is going to be a little bit better of a time for him with Charizard than Raging Bolt was. All right, so Josh does opt to go second with Charizard, potentially trying to find an Arven to save the game. It looks like just starting with the lone Duskull here, not the best start you'd like to see. Hopefully Josh can top deck a good card to get him out of this hole that he's in. So playing against an opposing Charizard, so it is going to be the Charizard mirror. Right now we see that there is a mulligan helping Josh get one card further, and Sunny seeing the Charmander on the field here. Double Charmander coming into play, seeing if we can start to draw some cards with Rotom potentially, and there we go, Rotom coming into play. Classic move by the Charizard player, just starting to find more cards to set up the game. Now, the only thing that can make this even better is a Pidgey coming down into the field. So Sunny going in and opting for an Ultra Ball early on to potentially find one more piece of the puzzle to get this game started. All right, getting rid of a Turo and a Counter Catcher there. Now, Turo and Counter Catcher could be really good in this matchup because you're going to get hit from every Pokemon back to back, and there is potential with Turo to stop a Dusknoir knockout. So if we get hit, we don't want Dusknoir to come into play. We could Turo out our Charizard, and we can also get some of our squishier two-prize Pokemon off the field. Now, in a lot of cases, Collapse Stadium also does that. We do see Sunny opt for the Pidgey here, just to get an optimal board state of double Charmander, Pidgey, Rotom. And Josh just really not having it tonight, having the worst luck of top deck draws here. Holy moly. Having double Duskull on the field, and Sunny is just like getting everything that they need off of this top deck here, which is totally fine. We get to see Charizard come out. Now, Charizard is a come from behind deck, so if there's potential for Josh to maybe even draw a an Arvin off the top deck here, something to just get him there. And it looks like Sonny's just choosing to draw more cards. Okay, so getting the Charizard out early, doesn't really care about the Pidgeot so far. Using Infernal Rain, gonna go ahead and find those 2 energy cards and get this game rolling here. All right, so looks like just getting steamrolled here by this Charizard, only having the Lone Duskull. Now, can Lone Duskull save Josh from losing this game? And it looks like another top deck. We're just going to try to find one more energy, and there's no Pidgeot on the field, so this could actually save Josh having to use this counter catcher if there is a switch or an energy drawn, or even a Pidgeot put into play. It looks like there's nothing. Josh is saved for another turn here, chat. And the Iono can get Iono down to 5 cards, and this might not be what saves Josh this turn, but it could definitely give Josh a better chance. Now, this is a much better hand. Josh is going to be able to put Cleffa into the deck here, go for double Charmander. It looks like that's the move right now, going back in. I think that that's the play, and I could also see a world where Josh gets a Pidgey out of the deck with the Ultra Ball too. That could be the secondary move Josh might want to go for. Just putting in the Pheasantipity, but just going for a straight up grasping draw. Josh did need to retreat here, so having to put that energy on there, on the active Duskull, and going in for a grasping draw is the way that Josh is going to have to play this game from now on. Now, Josh having the Ultra Ball in hand could be really good here. Now, seeing the Pidgeot come down from Sunny, Pidgeot able to use Quick Search and go and cherry pick some cards out of the deck. And the Iono play, holy. We see Josh now losing that Ultra Ball and the candy here, so not drawing too much else. If Quick Search yields the 1 energy, Sunny can retreat this Rotom and just start swinging into Josh's Pokemon again. All right. Let's see what else we've got going on here. It looks like we're seeing the Charizard come back up, burning Darkness into this poor defenseless Cleffa, taking that Cleffa out, taking 1 more prize card, going down to 4 here. So we are going to have Josh play into this, seeing the Charmander come into play. Now, not too much else going on here for Josh. Josh can let this Charmander die and just get taken out by Burning Darkness. Seeing the Pheasantipity. If we see an Arvin or a rare candy or just something else that Josh can get rid of, we can see Arvin for candy here too. That is potential for Rip Cleffa. Yeah, that's right. We can see Josh start to swing into Sunny's Pokemon. So let's see this Ultra Ball come in. See what Ultra Ball is going to do for us here. I think an Arvin play could be pretty good here. Now, there is a potential you could go Arvin for 4 Sealstone, rare candy, put the Rotom down, and just get a raw Charizard. That's the secondary one that we want to see. And then going from there, we want to see what else we can play. Now, the Unfair Stamp could be really good here in most cases if there wasn't a Pidgeot in play, but I think that having Pidgeot in play is not really what we're going to need to go for when we're looking for the Unfair Stamp. So Josh maybe choosing to just Ultra Ball and not put a 2 prize liability on the field because that can get gusted up. We aren't going to need the Jamming Tower here for sure. Now, Josh could also just go put Rotom into play and then collapse Stadium. That does take a 2 prize liability off of Sunny's side also. So that's another thing that we have to consider here. All right, we're seeing the rare candy come down, so we can at least start to swing some damage onto this board here for sure. Again, we know that there isn't anything that is going to stop any damage modification like Turo in Sunny's deck, unless Sunny does play a Pale Pad. There is an off chance that Pale Pad is going to be played. However, most modern lists now have removed the Pale Pad in lieu of putting the Dusknoir line into their deck. All right, so Josh is able to swing 240 into this undamaged Charizard, in which case we'll see Charizard swing back into it. Now, there has been no prizes taken, so only 180 damage is all that's being done by Sunny. Now, the other thing that could come into play is there is a world where there is a Dusknoir activated on Sunny's side, and it looks like there's a secondary Charizard coming in. We could see a rare candy Dusknoir on active. No more energy in the deck. Very good for Josh. It looks like this could be what swings this matchup. All right, and there's an Iono. So preventing the Forest Seal Stone from being used here. Going, it looks a little bit deeper into the top deck. There's the candy. There is the Dusknoir. It looks like Sunny is aware that maybe there is an energy card in these prizes somewhere. Josh could get hit here, but it's not enough. It's still, okay, it's not enough without the Dusknoir. Now that Josh is able to take prize cards, Josh is going to get hit for 210 damage, which does take the knockout on this active Charizard that before this turn didn't have any damage on it. I think Pidgeot might be going for a Super Rod here for this turn. That's what I would do if I was playing Charizard at this point, is just go in and find a Super Rod. That could be the way that we see this next turn go. All right, and then we see Super Rod. Okay, so now there's a Dusclops coming into play. And a Pheasantipede to help draw some cards if there is a knockout taken here. And there we go. Josh had loaded this Radiant Charizard in for this specific case here. So now Josh has the ability to go in, swing with this Radiant Charizard, take a 2-prize knockout, and also, now that Josh's hand has been reshuffled, go in and okay, there's the Pidgey. We see the flip the script happening here. There's so much happening on the board. A rare candy, also very good. Now, rare candy will allow for either... Okay, so we could rare candy active, and we can boss, and then take a 4-prize turn. Charmeleon coming down here. We do have Arven for a Super Rod 2 for next turn, for the follow-up turn. Nothing in the deck. All right, there's a Collapse Stadium. You see a Briar turn. Briar could be very helpful here too. No Briar available this turn when it does count though. All right, we're on a very swing turn here for Josh. Going in with the Arven, potentially. I think Josh is going to plant this Charmeleon, but knowing that there's a potential for a Dusknoir play, and that Dusknoir play, if it does go through, could cripple Josh's board. That's where I think the debate between the Charmeleon and the candy into a Charizard is really where Josh's head is at. And it is a tough one. We got a counter catcher and Defiance Band here. I think that was really a good play. The Defiance Band hitting into this Pidgeot could be really good here, actually. And then Josh able to take a potential 4 prize turn here too. But if Josh does that, this Radiant Charizard is going to go away forever. And I think maybe Josh saving this rare candy here for a Pidgeot to find a final piece could be exactly what Josh is going to need. Now, I'm not sure if we are going to see a Super Rod in hand next turn, but we are definitely not going to be able to have Sunny search for that energy card here because Pidgeot will be going down. So the only thing that could potentially happen is a Super Rod is in hand, and then Sunny would have to flip the script and find an energy card. There is a potential for 3 energy to go back into the deck. But Josh also needs a switch of some sort. There are potentially 2 turns for Josh to... Oh, and the Turo. So Turo could get us there. Turo could actually get us there. All right, and there's the energy. It was a top deck energy. Crazy, crazy stuff. Whoa, what a game. That was actually the craziest game I've seen in some time. I'm going to take a look and see what's happening next. So that was quite the game we saw here. The next matchup that we do have lined up is going to be VGH versus Ian. VGH versus Ian is going to be up on our lineup. Now, if we're looking at the decks here, I'm seeing that VGH has already played the Hydrapple EX. So there is Raging Bolt, and there is the Frostmoth and Venomoth and Frostlass deck for VGH out of the 2 decks. Josh has lost Raging Bolt and Charizard Pidgeot. So both of those decks. And we're going to see Ian come in here next. Ian's going to be able to play one of his other decks. We have Palkia, Dusknoir, and Miraidon still. I think we're going to see Palkia, Dusknoir come out from Ian. So we're going to hop right over into that game and see if we can get that match streamed up here. All right, I'm going to update. I'm just going to update this here while we're thinking of it. We are currently sitting at only 1 win right now versus Team Lethal Strike. So Ian does have the challenge over there. We're going to see if the challenge is coming through for Ian. But this is what we're seeing on the other side. These are the decks that the opposing team is playing. And we got Ian on Palkia Dusknoir next. So we're going to get up there. Give us just a second here. We'll be right back with you. All right, so we're queued up here for Ian. Ian is going to be playing against VGH, Video Game House, over on Team Lethal Strike. Let's see if Ian can start to swing back the Shuffle Squad's win rate here, because we are down by 2 currently. Looks like flipping heads here, pretty good. Now, if you're in YouTube chat with us right now, you can help donate to hurricane relief through Americares. That's the donation that we're playing for right now. We're trying to raise some money for hurricane relief on this stream tonight. So you can hit !donate, or you can just find us on Twitter and you should be able to see the link in our more recent post, but you can also check out this YouTube live chat. If we do lose, we will donate our portion of this to Team Lethal Strike, in which they are going to give it to Americares for that hurricane relief donation. Either way, all the money raised on today's stream, whether it's on Twitch through Team Lethal Strike or if it's here on YouTube, is going to go to that hurricane relief. All right, so we're going to see this Radiant Greninja come down. We've got Palkia happening. What a great starting turn, especially with the opening of Klefki. It looks like Raging Bolt is going to be the deck that we're seeing VGH play. And what an awesome start to the first draw on Ian's side. Ian able to set up every Pokemon that is necessary, have Ultra Ball in hand for a Palkia next turn, be able to retreat here too. Everything's just kind of lining up for Ian right now. All right, we do see the Earthen Vessel being able to get another energy into the discard pile. Pokestop some things away. Let's see what else we draw here. All right, so there is... I think the Duskull is the correct play. I think I could foresee Ian jousting into the active, getting rid of that tool card. An attack you don't see every day. Joust able to remove tool cards from the opposing Pokemon and also hit for 10 damage. So definitely a great start for Ian. Now, not so great over on the VGH's side. Not necessarily drawing everything that's necessary here. So we are going to see a really beneficial board state for Ian for this game. All right, do we see a Pokemon catcher come into play? This is going to be a very important heads, and it does hit heads. We are going to see something come up into the active spot. More than likely this Radiant Greninja. And looks like another Bravery Charm is going to go here. But I don't think that that's going to really stop anything from happening here. We do see a Concealed Cards. And it looks like the Clops was almost put on there, but I think Ian kind of second-guessed himself just to see if we're going to put a Dust Noir into play. Looking for the Dust Noir into the deck, and oh no, there's no Dust Noir in this deck just yet. That's totally fine. I think that what we could do is see Ian use Night Stretcher to put an extra 5 damage counters onto this Pokemon, and if Ian can swing at least a little bit more damage, I think that we're just fine here. All right, we do see this Palkia come into play. We're going to just Pokestop and see what else we find. And another triple hit here for Ian. Ian does find 3 item cards. So we do see the potential of a Dusclops coming down. And Ian can also go ahead and just swing in with a double Dusclops here too. We can hit Star Portal. Star Portal is going to go ahead and put 1, 2, and 3 onto the board. Ian, I think, just retreating into this Palkia and hitting for 160. He has game, yeah, so not yet. There is no game yet because there is no Dust Noir in the deck. The Dust Noir is unfortunately in the prize cards. As long as there's no other basic Pokemon hitting the field over on VGH's side, this will be game this next turn. And yeah, that's the unfortunate part, that there's no Dust Noir in this deck. You're really able to put the hurt on. I think that if Dusclops was used and then Night Stretcher was also used, that could have been another potential. But now Ian is going to have to go in and use Night Stretcher to... Oh, okay, and then the Canceling Clone, sure. Ian is going to have to go in and, yes, use... Hydro Break would not be able to be used, unless Ian did not bench the second Duskull. But yes, I think that is the correct play, where if Dusclops and Hydro Break were in Ian's hindsight, probably the better way to go about doing things. So absolutely, you are correct. All right, we do see that happen here, and there we go. Ian still capitalizing and taking the win. All right, so we're going to check that up as a win here for the Shuffle Squad. And now we're starting to bring back this game here. We are now 2-3, and we're starting to bring it back, chat. We are bringing it back. It's 2 for the Shuffle Squad, 3 for Team Lethal Strike. And if I'm looking at things here, I'm going to go ahead and see what the next matchup is. So it looks like on our board here, we have our next matchup is going to be On Guard versus Cyrus. Cyrus is going to be picking their next deck. So Cyrus has Banette, Dusknoir, and Snorlax Stall as the 2 decks. And then On Guard is going to have Palkia, Noctowl, and also having the Iron Valiant Terapagos Checkmate deck. I don't know if you've ever seen that deck in action before, but it's definitely something interesting for sure. So if we're looking at the rest of our matchups here, if you did want to know, I am going to put the image up on the screen, so bear with me here as I do that for you. We're just going to add some images to our screen so you can see what we're looking at. So again, we just saw VGH versus Ian, so we do have On Guard versus Cyrus, and then Sunny versus Cyrus. Then we'll have the closeout matchups are going to be VGH versus Josh, and then On Guard versus Ian to wrap things up here. And then let's flip over. We're going to just hide that image. Let's go into our gameplay here, and I'm going to get that set up and ready to go, and we'll see what's going on. So Cyrus is going to be playing the Banette Dusknoir deck here. Going to be playing an item lock deck. And again, looking at things, we do know that the other 2 decks that could be played are going to be they're going to be interesting for sure. So let's see what the next deck that we're going to hit is over on the other side for Video Game House. We've got, again, we've got Venema, or I'm sorry, On Guard does have Palkia, Noctowl. That's probably the deck that we're going to see here. Deck you don't see too often, kind of an underrated deck. A win is a win. You're right. So let's take those when we can get them right. All right, let's see what we've got here. And Cyrus starting out with a pretty good hand. Having Shuppet in the active spot's pretty good, especially going second. You could potentially attack if we find an energy card. Cyrus is going to go first and draws the energy card off the top. What a top deck here. We see Duskull come into play. We've got Shuppet, and we also have Squawkabilly. So we could potentially use a Squawkabilly to find some more cards. Cyrus not playing it necessarily safe, but doesn't need to. Looks like a lot of resources drawn off the top deck there. Not able to find anything as far as an evolution. That's really what we want to try to find here. So might potentially have to use Iono this next turn, but I think that Cyrus is doing just fine for that opening turn for sure. Now, mind you, Terapagos cannot attack even though it goes second on the first turn. So, when we're looking into this Fan Rotom coming down, we see it play out like a normal Terapagos deck. Now, we know that this is definitely not a normal Terapagos deck, and having the Ditto come into play is something you also don't see every day. Ditto is very, very good in a lot of these decks. There's a switch cart. Now we could see this Ditto just come in here. Logan's joining us in our YouTube chat. Just a quick recap. We are currently 2 wins versus 3 on Team Lethal Strike. They did win 3 different matchups. Looks like Ian was trampled by Miraidon while playing the Regidrago V-Star. I know that Josh did get bodied playing Raging Bolt. On our side, we did also see Josh go 1-1 here. Josh just having terrible draws. So Josh did lose twice in a row. The second time playing Charizard, but drew an awful hand, played the Charizard mirror versus Sunny, and was not able to capitalize in the first couple turns. But now we saw Ian start to swing the matches into the Shuffle Squad's favor, winning with Palkia Dusknoir against the Raging Bolts over by VGH. Now playing On Guard currently, and it looks like On Guard not going necessarily in order. Totally fine here. We are playing for fun. We are playing for charity. But we are seeing that going with the Iron Valiant Terapagos deck and not the Knocked Owl Palkia. Now, using the Ditto here, going into the Oranguru. Oranguru, not a card you see anymore in the standard format. Now, this is Oranguru V, able to search the deck for 2 different cards, or 2 different tool cards, as long as it's in the active. And we did see Ditto utilized here too. We get to see Squawkabilly find some more cards. We see Iron Valiant come into play. Now, once we start to see a 3rd Iron Valiant, things start to get a little bit scarier for Ian, because once all those Valiants are moving in and out of the active spot, that could potentially ping the 6 damage counters that are necessary to knock out this Shuppet. Here's the Colress's Tenacity, being able to find a Stadium and an energy card. Now, On Guard could use this on the Fan Rotom, which is a very funny interaction, and take a turn 1 attack. Now, as long as there's a Stadium in play, you do get to see that. And that's exactly what we're going to see right now. We do see the Fan Rotom swinging 70, taking the energy off the board. But again, Cyrus does have Night Stretcher in her hand. So all Cyrus really needs to do to start to item lock is go in and find a Banette EX. And then this game will start to become more online. Now, Cyrus also has loaded up her bench to find 2 Duskulls, so we can see a Dusclops come down. There is potential here for just item locking and making sure that there's nothing else happening for On Guard for the rest of this game as far as items are concerned. Oh yeah, this On Guard is definitely cooking, as the kids say. On this deck, there are so many different pieces and parts here, and I think that Cyrus just going for the early Iono instead of going to find the energy in the discard pile is something that doesn't necessarily matter, because we see Cyrus is just going to raw draw energy and Banette off of there, not necessarily needing to play the Night Stretcher, just has it all here. So we do get to lock up this Iron Valiant. Now, there is a case where a special energy is in the hand and there's a tool card that can be played, because tools are not items in the current format here. So a tool card can be played on this Iron Valiant, allowing it to retreat for free. And then there is a potential for Terapagos to come up and start to swing for 220 damage, which could be pretty bad here in a lot of cases. And there's the opposing Iono, getting Iono to 6 over on Cyrus's side, but On Guard being able to find 5 new cards, could find that tool card that is going to get them out of this sticky situation. The kitchen might be on fire is exactly right here. There's so much going on this board state. What do we have going on here? I know that there is also a sparkling crystal in this list to allow for possibly a bench snipe. So Cyrus does not play Manaphy here, so there's definitely a potential of a double snipe on these Duskulls. All right, there's Poltergeist. Not exactly sure if we're going to see anything come out of here, but I think finding, yeah, the Alakazam is definitely going to be a card that Cyrus wants to use here. And it looks like we're just going to see Trekking Shoes for a Prime Catcher. Very good. Yes, just getting rid of the Iono. Could go into the Dusknoir. And now we're going to be able to move some damage counters around. All right, we see a Cursed Blast come in. Cursed Blast is going to hit that Oranguru for 130. Cyrus able to move some damage counters around and modify this damage here too. Taking a 2-prize knockout, giving 2 prizes, still totally fine here. All right, so that does take the double wipe off the board with the Wellspring Ogerpon. All right, Cyrus going back into the deck, finding the 3rd Duskull. Cautiously playing the Duskull here, just taking a look at what's already been discarded. Now, Painful Spoons from Radiant Alakazam is going to be able to move some of this damage around, and I think that that's definitely safe to just start to move it to the single prize Pokemon as we're chipping away at this 2-prize Pokemon in the active spot. All right, we're seeing a whole lot of cards on Guard's hand. All right, we see a Noctowl. Now, Noctowl can search for any trainer cards. So if we see something like a Colress's Tenacity come out of the deck, or we see the Future Booster Energy Capsule to allow for a free retreat, things could start to get a little shaky here. And that's exactly what we do see. We see a Professor's Research and the Future Booster. So if all else fails, Fan Rotom can still attack here. And I think that that's really the thing that On Guard has to consider. Do you want to just attack with Fan Rotom for 70 and start to weaken this active Pokemon? Or is there a case where you want to start to look for something else? And it looks like On Guard doesn't necessarily need too much else, but because Fan Rotom can get stuck into the active spot, I think that Cyrus knowing, okay, I'm going to get hit for 220, does it matter? The answer might be no. All right, let's see what else is going on here. Now, there are a lot of cards in the hand, so we could see a Poltergeist come into play. Now, Poltergeist could swing for a knockout on the opposing Terapagos if most of those cards in the hand are trainer cards, because we are going to multiply the damage based on the amount of trainers in our opponent's hand. But then again, Cyrus will have to search and try to find another Psychic Energy, whether it's out of the discard pile with something like Night Stretcher or inside the deck. So energy being the lowest count for resources here is really what we want to make sure that we're not running out of. And that's exactly what Cyrus is considering right now. Are we going to go in and are we going to find the secondary Future Booster Energy Capsule? Now, there is a second Hoot Hoot in play, so seeing if maybe this is the time that we move damage counters and just do our thing here. Now, there is potential to go into a Dusclops to take out this Fan Rotom and start swinging, or we could Night Stretcher and get our energy back, and that could potentially trap our opponent from using potentially trap them from using a Noctowl to get a future booster energy capsule, things like that. So no Ultra Balls being able to be played. We're considering more options here. Are we going to just switch and item lock again? I think that's safe. Having the Duskull evolve into the Dusclops. Let's Painful Spoons. We can move some damage counters around where we need to. And I think that moving them onto, say, the Terapagos could be pretty good here too. Just choosing to not even move these damage counters. Also a valid choice. We're seeing a little bit more happen here. All right. And after this, folks, we have 3 more matches for you on this charity match. We're going to see who comes out victorious. Maybe we won't even get to the last matchup, because if we see a swing in TSS, we could just have it end all here. And here comes another one. They are going to swing in, and oh no, here comes the extra 20 damage ping for a 2-prize knockout onto the board. And basically, we have to lead with this Banette and hope that there isn't any other additional switch cards, because now this Terapagos is going to be able to just bop us for 220 damage. And if we're able to just switch from our 1 Iron Valiant into our 2nd Iron Valiant, it is going to start to add up. There is also the potential to just swing with our Fan Rotom and take a 2-prize knockout. There's so much on the board. Cyrus does have to get out of this sticky situation here, and I think that the writing is on the wall that there's not too much else that Cyrus can do to make sure that this is not what happens here. So I think Cyrus is just going to go ahead and Cursed Blast her way out of this game, and that way there is honor on the board going out on this one, giving up that single prize and closing out the game. All right, and that's where we see it. We are going to change things up here. So let's add on the extra win for Team Lethal Strike. Currently 2 versus 4. And we're having a good time so far. We're gonna take a quick break here, get the next match set up, and then give you 3 more matches. See if we can swing this one back in our favor here. If we can come back 5-4, that's going to be the challenge for the Shuffle Squad tonight on this Americares Hurricane donation charity match. So we'll see you in just a second here. All right, chat, and we are back here on the Shuffle Squad donation charity match for Americares for hurricane relief. We've got Cyrus versus Sunny in our first of our bottom 3 matches here. We've got Snorlax Stall versus Sunny, and Sunny currently has on the table here the Terapagos Dusknoir. So we're going to see if Terapagos Dusknoir can capitalize for a Snorlax stall and see if Cyrus is able to overcome this matchup here. All right, so we've got things lined up, ready to go. No Pokemon in the opening hand here, so Cyrus is going to give a mulligan over to Sunny. All right, we got a nice blank card there, so I think that loading the Snorlax is probably the best play for sure. But Cyrus does have a really decent opening hand. Holy moly, we got a lot of mulligans so far, so that's totally fine. Looks like our opponent's not necessarily going to be able to switch out of the active spot, but we are putting down the Mimikyu and being able to instant charge right off the bat. What a great opening hand for sure. Now, Mimikyu, realistically, the only ways that Mimikyu is going down is either A, with the Fan Rotom attack, or B, with the Dusknoirs popping and putting damage counters onto Mimikyu, which could mean that there isn't any sort of walling Pokemon in the field at that time. But Cyrus does play cards like Hero's Cape and Bravery Charm to stop that from happening. Obviously, Hero's Cape is going to make Sunny have to do 2 Dusknoir pops here in order to knock that thing out. But you could potentially pop Dusknoir and hit with Fan Rotom. Those are all potential plays that we're going to see over on Sunny's side. Now, Sunny loading up the Dusknoir and the Hoot Hoot without even having to use Fan Call, loading up the board, has a Terra Pokemon in play, doesn't have to worry about overbenching at this point in time. Could go for just the double Hoot Hoot play here. That could lead into the next play, which could be just getting rid of this Mimikyu and the Snorlax at the same time, as long as there's double turbo energy found. So here's where this handheld fan could come into play for sure. If there's no secondary Pokemon that it would matter to put this energy onto, that's where Cyrus is going to be struggling just a little bit. And there's a secondary Hoot Hoot, so we are going in and loading up the bench. And Fan Call is activating here. Once again, if you're joining us here in chat and you did want to donate to Hurricane Relief and help us out here on the team, you can go on and hit !donate. That's going to bring in the donation link. And if you don't have that, I'm going to put it into the chat right now so you have it, so you can help us out. Now, Cyrus does play Giacomo, so there is potential that we see Giacomo come into play, especially after the handheld fan is in use. But I think just using that Airy to kind of get the ball rolling here is also something that Cyrus needs to do. All right, so we're seeing another play happen where Featherball is going to get Pidgeot EX out. Now, Pidgeot EX obviously able to cherry pick what is needed here for Cyrus to get this next, or get knocked out next. So we are really just holding on for dear life to see if we can make this happen. After this, we do have VGH versus Josh. We'll see if Josh can redeem himself. And then finishing things off with On Guard versus Ian over on Team Lethal Strike. So we're really seeing if block can make things happen. I know that there is most likely going to be the the double turbo energy come down this turn, smacking into this poor defenseless Snorlax. but we're getting Mimikyu off the field, and that's kind of the important thing here. Cyrus does have Switch Cart in hand, so if Switch Cart is live, and now we do have an Arven to potentially find our Night Stretcher and or a Nest Ball to give us another Mimikyu. It's going to be pretty hard for Sunny to come back for that. So having multiple Mimikyu on the field is really what's tough when you are playing Terapagos against a deck like Snorlax Stall. Alright, we're seeing another Noctowl. Most likely trying to go find a Buddy Poffin to start to load some more Duskulls on the bench, but also trying to extend this bench with an Area Zero. That's probably the two things that we're going to see over on the Noctowl side. That's probably my best assumption on what I would be personally doing if I was playing Terapagos. But it looks like Cyrus can definitely recover here on this turn, and that's exactly the two cards Sunny is going into. It's almost like Sunny's reading my mind here. We do see the Hoot come down, so there's a potential for another Noctowl in play. And here comes just the one Duskull. So if there is the Mimikyu, Cyrus could potentially go Mimikyu with Hero's Cape into the active spot, and then the only liability is this Rotom for another 2 prizes here. We are going to see this double turbo energy get placed onto the Duskull, so that won't be able to be used at all. And then we're seeing Rotom come up here. So I think that the play for Cyrus would be potentially A, check your prizes with Heavy Ball, and then B, go in and try to find the Mimikyu. And look, there's a Mimikyu, even better. We do see our Night Stretcher is unfortunately prized, so it's not something that we do want to see here. But here we go. We're going to go ahead and try to find our Hero's Cape and also get a secondary Mimikyu down, just because popping that many Duskulls means that you're still giving up prizes, so that is really where we want to go. We are going to be able to place this here. Yeah. All right, so we are seeing that there's potential for a Penny Loop into a Snorlax also. There are only 4 energy played in a common Terapagos deck because they are all double turbo energy. There is potential for a Jet energy too, but we're not seeing too many energy cards. And with the handheld fan on the Snorlax prior to this being found, that's kind of where our head's at here. All right, we do see Dusclops coming down. That means that there's a potential for either popping this and hitting 50 and then trying to Night Stretcher twice and get the Duskull and the Dust Noir, as well as a rare candy. Those are all potential things that could happen here. Now, because Cyrus didn't opt to go for the second Mimikyu, things could get a little squirrely here for our follow-up turn, because we do have Night Stretcher in the prize cards. So it's something that we do want to maybe find another Arven off this Pokegear next and try to find another Mimikyu with Nest Ball for our follow-up turn. There's the Duskull. So seeing the lines here where Sunny could potentially go in and try to find rare candy and a Dust Noir to just double pop onto the active Mimikyu, take a 2 prize turn here if there's an energy on field. That's all good things. Now, Cyrus did top deck Arven and Artisan, so a limit of bench size is what's going to happen here on Sunny's side. All right, I think going in, there's the Fez. Fez isn't going to do too much here. Probably going to bring that right up, so there isn't as much switch, and then collapse that bench with Artisan. And there we go. We did see the Noctowls and the Fan Rotom leave play. We don't want to put too many prize cards into play, but Cyrus is going to go ahead and just find another Snorlax here, just so we can create a board that is going to cripple our opponent. All right, we're seeing some milling strategies happen here. We're still seeing the Forest Seal Stone and Star Alchemy happen. Star Alchemy is going to be able to go ahead and find that Mist Energy. Mist Energy is not really going to prevent anything other than allowing this Mimikyu to actually retreat. And then we see the instant charge happen on Rotom. All right. So we see that the Fezandipity is getting locked up into the active spot. Not going to be able to go anywhere. There is still Switch and Prime Catcher available in Terapagos. So those two switch outs and the one Noctowl that can be searched with the Pidgeot EX is really how Sunny's going to want to play this side of the game. Now looking down at the field here, Cornerstone is in Cyrus's hand right now. Cornerstone not really proving too much because Terapagos does not have a ability, so it can be hit with 220. Now the Cornerstone mask is actually 210 hit points, which is pretty bad considering that Terapagos can one-shot it. So we don't want to leave a two-prize liability on the field. We do see that this Dusknoir is still going to give Cyrus a prize here. And what this means is that Counter Catcher isn't live. I think that getting the Xerosics off the prizes is actually really good, because once Sunny starts to build a big hand, Cyrus can really capitalize on that, use a Xerosics one turn, and then try to Iono the next turn. And here we go. We see the double pop here for the Cursed Blast coming down. And that's exactly what's needed to get that Mimikyu off the board. But not too much else happening over here. So now Counter Catcher is definitely not live. So Cyrus does have to rely on the top deck. I think now regretting using the Forest Seal Stone because Boss cannot be played. If there's a Noctowl in play and an Energy Scene, we could see a knockout start to build here on the Snorlax. So we are going to have to see Pokegear reach for that Boss's orders, just because Counter Catcher isn't going to be live for some time. And we're seeing Pidgeot go in. Pidgeot's going to try to find some more resources for Cyrus. For Sunny. Most likely going to find the double turbo energy to try to set up for some things. Now, if it is an item card of some sort, Cyrus can actually capitalize here and use something like a Airy, or maybe even use Misfortune Sisters if we're able to search the deck a little bit further. We're seeing a Night Stretcher come into play. I think that Night Stretcher might want to opt for going in and getting more Duskulls, but it looks like just getting the Noctowl, probably trying to fill out that bench. Still pretty good for Cyrus on this side here. Trying to bring it back and even out this game, this challenge against Team Lethal Strike here. Can Shuffle bring it home? Let us know in chat. We're seeing if Noctowl can find what it needs here. I'm not sure Noctowl has many resources to think of. Potentially a Switch Prime Catcher. But we need to fill up this bench so Terapagos can actually attack for a decent amount of damage. Currently, if Terapagos was in the active and attacking, it is going to do only 70 damage. But now having this extra Terapagos in play is going to give us an extra 30. So we're now swinging for, I think it's 100 damage, right? 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. All right, so having the Blood Moon Ursaluna take out the Rotom is a thing that you can do for sure. If Cyrus goes in, Cyrus can also swing with Arven now. Arven can get Counter Catcher and bring this Pheasantipity up. There is still Switch in deck, so there's a potential to switch into Terapagos, get a double turbo energy, and load the board and swing into the Snorlax. That could be the other play that Sunny's thinking about. I think just using this Night Stretcher Penny, that's going to be a pretty good move here because there are no more Duskulls allowed. So there does have to be a boss. So maybe Cyrus checking the discard pile for a boss's orders before going in with this Iono could be the correct play, because if there is potentially an Iono into either the switch or the boss, then Sunny is going to only need one more final piece to win this game and close things out. But it looks like Cyrus is just taking the risk here, opting in for the Iono, and it looks like there's the counter catcher, exactly what is needed. Now the Blood Moon Ursaluna cannot attack this turn. It does have to switch out of the active. So building the pieces on Sunny's side here with Pidgeot is going to really be what seals the deal. Now we do have to consider that, was there a boss used at one point in the game? Is there still a boss available on Sunny's side? That's really where things start to get tricky over on the other side of the board for Cyrus. All right, there's a Professor's Research trying to get to the end of the deck, seeing what resources are available. They're building a bench, so it's looking like there's a promise to go even further, find that boss's orders. Sunny not looking like they're in the greatest spot here. A Defiance Band, not necessarily going to get us there, but if Switch is in play and Cyrus doesn't have a way to switch into the Mimikyu, that's really going to be where this seals the deal. So I think that using that Iono might not have been the best thing to do last turn because there was a penny in hand. Now Penny would have really saved the day here. But there is a switch potential. So if there is switch in the deck, they do just need the boss for a game, but switch is also a play. And there's the switch. And there we go. And we round things out 2 to 5 for Team Lethal Strike. All right. So we saw that Snorlax Stall did not have what it takes to get through the Terapagos matchup here. So shout out to Sunny for just popping through and doing what they needed to do to win against Snorlax. It looks like we do have Josh coming up next here to see if Josh can help us even out these wins here for Shuffle Squad. Josh has had 2 awful matchups, so only has one last matchup to seal things up, and then we're going to round things out here with Ian on our side playing Miraidon, of all things. So we're going to hop into those games here in just a second while we get things queued up, so we'll be right back with you here on the Shuffle Squad. All right, chat, we are back here. We are seeing this this play out here. So we do have Josh's final match here on stream. We do have Ian coming up right after this. But Josh is going to be playing Terapagos, I believe. So we did see this come down in here. Assume there was no switch left because he could have just won with switch on the previous turn. That's also true. But switch, they would have had to switch and switch again on the previous turn. So because it has to switch out of the Snorlax lock also, that's the other issue. But I guess switch into double turbo if they had enough on the board. Yes, that could have won. But we're seeing Venomoth's Frostlass is going to be the final match over on VGH's side. Looks like just going for an attached pass here. And then Josh has a pretty good starting hand for sure. There we go. We see the Fan Rotom. We see that come into play. And then Josh just eyeing up what's prized, what's not prized. See where we get on this next matchup here. We've got, actually, I think everything Josh needs other than a Terra Pokemon in play, but Josh does have Nest Ball in here too. Can go ahead and just get Terapagos for the following turn. Put everything that's necessary into play. Josh is definitely not getting item locked next turn because there is no Venomoth on the field as of right now, opting to just go for Professor's Research to make their resources known, try to find more cards on the top of that deck, and it looks like Josh is just going for double knockdown play. Very fair here. And is Josh just going to put down that stadium? Josh is assuming that there's not a lot of stadium counterplay in a Venomoth Frostlass deck, so just going ahead and passing the turn back to VGH. Okay, so it looks like the Iono there was really good. This deck does play, was played Iono. It plays 4 Ionos. I know I've played this deck quite a bit. I've played it in the Late Night series. If you were watching my video on the channel for that, Under the Lives. It looks like Buddy Poffin coming down just to extend this bench to hit for 220. And there's a Prime Catcher, so Josh can take out one of these Venomoths. But knowing that there is a Frostlass wipe that could potentially happen on a lot of our softer Pokemon is the other thing that Josh has to consider here. Josh will have to wipe out a lot of these Pokemon and also find at least one Noctowl this turn, just so he can get a Pidgeot into play and also get a double turbo. And look, the double turbo comes to you. We could go ahead. We have one piece out of our Pidgeot, so all we really need is a Noctowl for a follow-up turn, but we at least get to take the first knockout here. The problem is Josh only has one more switch out other than manually retreating, and Josh will get confused if there is a Venomoth coming down with an energy this turn. So Josh could have a really good turn here or a really bad turn, depending on what VGH is able to play down. There's the Temple of Sinnoh. That's something that's gonna really put a hurt on to Josh. Josh opting for getting rid of the Pidgey to not get it back here and go into a Pidgeot, even though the Feather Ball is in hand. So here comes the other part of this item lock deck where they just start to limit your resources. Here comes another Iono. Again, this deck does play 4. So we're gonna see another Iono. There's still 2 left in deck for later turns once Josh starts taking more and more knockouts here. And there we go, we've got Pidgeot in hand. Josh opting to get rid of the Pidgey last turn really put him in a tough spot here because we are going to have to use our other switch. So instead of putting energy into the discard pile, we can use the switch here if we are getting confused, or we can potentially try to hit through confusion into a Venomoth. And there's no Venomoth coming down. This is absolutely huge for Josh. Josh is going to be able to take both of the Venomoths or the Venonats off the field this turn. Does have Colress's Tenacity in the hand here. Can Noctowl also. So being able to find another double turbo energy, being able to find the Stadium, and being able to find potentially even a Thornton for the follow-up turn is going to be so good here. All right, and here we go. We're seeing the Area Zero and the energy card. Energy is not necessarily going to matter. We can use our Noctowl here, extend the bench a little bit further with a Buddy Buddy Poffin, and we're going to see, we could see Night Stretcher to put the Pidgey back on the bench. I think that that's very fair. We're going to see what else Josh can do here. Going in with the Ultra Ball, which is an interesting choice. I'm not exactly sure if I'm following. I think that that was the correct choice. Absolutely. So going in, having the Buddy Buddy Poffin, can get a Fan Rotom if need be. We are going to see the Pidgey come back down, so now we can go in with a Pidgeot if we're able to find a rare candy here. And just swinging into this Venonat, just taking power over this board, going down to 3 prize cards left. Now that doesn't mean that VGH is out of this thing completely. There is potentially a swing where a Venonat can be set up, and also the damage counters being placed on the Noctowl are going to start to take a little bit more of a turn the tide situation. Now there is Colress's Tenacity, so here comes this Temple of Sinnoh. Obviously Josh thinking ahead, having some foresight that there was going to be a Pokemon removed from the field, and we see the double Frostlass here starting to put some pressure on Josh's board, having the Hoot Hoot into the active to buy VGH a turn, but little do they know Josh does have a switch in hand and also another double turbo energy. All right, we're seeing just the energy for retreat here. No Venonat either. Not exactly sure why the energy was placed there, but that's totally fine. Josh opting to put the other double turbo energy back at the bottom of the deck. But yes, we do see that there was no Area Zero at this point, which is fine. Noctowl can go ahead and do that for us. 2, and we're going to see the rare candy come into play. Now, Josh can hit 30, 60, 90, 120, 150 on this turn. So still able to just wipe this board with the 2 double turbo energy, and that's exactly the play that Josh is going to go for here, just to wipe this thing out. And then we will take it to the final match after this, where we're going to have Miraidon on Ian's side be played versus our final match for Team Lethal Strike. And that matchup is going to be versus On Guard. Now, On Guard really only has 1 deck choice left, and that deck choice is going to be, let's see here, we had it before. Josh did get to play a game, did win that, so we're going to go ahead and update our scoreboard here. So we did get a 3rd win. And again, if you're in the chat and you want to help out, we are trying to raise money for the Hurricane Relief Fund through Americares. You can check out !donate in the chat, or you could just scroll up in the live chat. There should be a link there for it, so you can go over there and donate and help raise a little bit of money towards the charity here to help out those that were affected by the hurricane in Florida. All right, so before we get to our last match, we're going to take one last break here so we can get the setup for Ian and On Guard. We'll see you in just a moment here on the Shuffle Squad. All right, chat, we are back here and we are on our final match, and we're going to see On Guard over on Team Lethal Strike play up against Ian, and Ian is going to be playing Miraidon. Now, we are going to see Ian just attempting to body On Guard. On Guard is going to be playing Palkia and Dusknoir. It looks like Palkia Terapagos. So the bench widening Palkia version. Is there a way that Palkia can overcome Miraidon? Let's see if the speed and aggression of a deck like Miraidon has the power to just pummel through a deck like Palkia. All right, here we go. We do see Ian with an unfortunate start of the Iron Bundle. Not the worst thing in the world. We do have a lot of resources in Ian's hand here. We can use Ultra Ball to go in and find our Miraidon and start to load our bench, maybe even daisy chain a couple of Pokemon onto the field. We've got Switch Card to switch into the active, lots of things. So we see On Guard starting it off. Obviously Ian is going to want to go second here in this match. Not seeing a whole lot of Pokemon come down on on guard side, so we're going to see exactly what is going to happen here. Looks like water's hitting the discard pile. Pretty good when you're starting as a Miraidon, or I'm sorry, a Palkia player. You want to see that energy hit the discard pile. That way you can load up and use your V-Star power to accelerate that energy onto Pokemon that matter. And now we are seeing a Fan Rotom because Noctowl is going to be a big engine in this deck. I believe we're going to see a Wellspring Ogerpon come down at some point in the game here, as well as Terapagos to help widen the bench with an Area 0. All right, here we go. We've got double Hoot Hoot in play, and we know that Noctowl is going to be here as well. Looks like not leaving the 2-prizer in the active is a pretty good idea, especially if Ian is going to capitalize on finding bench widening Pokemon as well. So we do see the Squawkabilly coming down. Ian opting to not use the generator, I think. All right, actually just using the generator for 1, still totally fine. Ian can pop off an attack and Squawk for a full 6 on here. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 is enough to get Fan Rotom and take the first prize if need be. And I think Ian just is going to hold back and leave Iron Bundle here. And there goes the Miraidon. Miraidon's pretty good at this point in time. Can load up that bench. Putting the Area 0 down. Widening out the bench. And again, no Palkia hitting the field on the other side here too. So it seems like Ian's in a really powerful spot to take over this game. All right, Ian leaving some room here. All right, going in for the Prime Catcher. All you really need here now, just to Fleet Foot your way, maybe into an extra Pokemon, and just getting the energy. That's totally fine here. Putting the Bravery Charm on this Pokemon will get it out of range of a Terapagos if that's a thing that comes down, but not necessarily out of the way of a fully loaded Palkia V-Star. And that's something that I think that Ian's thinking about, cognizantly trying to get this Pokemon bigger and badder as time goes on. And there's the Lumineon. Again, Ian is not going to sit down on this one here for sure. We're gonna see the Irida go in and try to get Palkia for us, trying to get a little bit further. It looks like just going in for Radiant Greninja, not putting Palkia into play. There's the Terapagos, which is going to extend the board for On Guard. And then we are going to have to most likely see a double attachment to this, unless we find our Noctowls again. We could try to Trumpet twice, but we will still have to switch out of the bench in order for us to get an attack off. So we do see there is the Earthen Vessel getting rid of more energy. Are we going to see a Trumpet play? Trumpet could be kind of funny here. All right, and there's more concealed cards. Drawing all the cards, just really thinning the deck, trying to find the resource. There's the Trumpet. So we do see one Trumpet happening. Are we going to see a secondary Trumpet is the question. We are so close. We really just need to find our Noctowl at this point. Noctowl switch will get us in range of hitting at least 220 into this thing. And there's the Noctowl. Now we could see a poke with Speedwing, an attack we don't necessarily see too often. Speedwing can hit for 60, start to damage this Raikou. But if we see something like a Iron Hands come into play, if we're able to use Tandem Unit next turn, put Iron Hands into play, and then get Forest Seal Stone and an Electric Generator, we can see this Raikou pivot out of the active spot and start to swing for 2 prize cards, because that will be enough for a one-shot on a lot of these smaller Pokemon. And there is the Prime Catcher going in to take out the Pheasantipity to allow for that draw on Ian's side. Just removing that from play removes the draw from the following turn. But I think that Ian can still just swing in with this Raikou V for more than enough damage on the Terapagos that it took On Guard so long to actually load up. So let's see if we can make that happen here. Ian opting to just not even go for the Iron Hands here for a follow-up turn. There's a tandem unit. We're getting a Raichu into play. Going with a Fleet Foot. All right, perfect. Ian's just going to get this electric generator, try to get some more energy on this board. And Ian swings wholly for 2 more energy. That's really good here. I think just going in for concealed cards is going to be exactly what Ian's going to need here. So swinging for the 320, taking another 2 prize turn, and having Boss's Orders in hand. I think that Ian is really just sealing up this last final game of our charity match here, just having everything that is necessary. So the only thing that's really going to save Ian, or save On Guard here, is a disruptive card like Iono, or potentially an Unfair Stamp here, alongside going in with the Pheasantipity, because there's no way to actively knock out this Raikou V as it stands, and Raikou V can just take the opposing knockout this following turn if that's not able to happen. So we see them eyeing it up. Is there a link to deck list? There is not, unfortunately. It is all kept internal in a server that I do not own, but I'm sure that if you ask our players on X or Twitter, they will definitely share that on their public profiles for sure. And here we go. We're seeing it evened up 2-2, but obviously Ian, having a loaded Raikou here, is just going to swing for the knockout and take out this game. And there we go. And Ian is going to take that last one home for us here on the Shuffle Squad. And that's how we're going to end that here. So thank you again so much for hanging out with us and enjoying all of these matches. They were played for fun versus Team Lethal Strike. And shout out to them for setting everything up and also helping us host this charity event. If you want to help out anybody that has suffered from the hurricane that hit Florida or any of the surrounding areas there, please make sure that you're checking out the live chat here for that donation link. You can find the Shuffle Squad on Twitter, and you can find that link on there where you can help donate. All the money and proceeds are going to go to Americares, and they are going to donate that to people in need. So again, thank you so much for enjoying Pokemon TCG with us here today on this charity match with Shuffle Squad versus Team Lethal Strike. We will catch you next time here on the Shuffle Squad.